you're keeping well and super busy in your salons or working within your independent or freelance businesses, and we do hope some of you are able to tune in maybe during a lunch break, or if not, you'll be able to watch this back on our Facebook page and also on our Instagram TV. So today's session is going to be an interesting one. We've got the fabulous Liz McKeon, who's a salon business expert who I'm sure many of you will recognise, and she's going to be speaking to us about how to manage your team now that obviously salons and everything has reopened, but also kind of in the long term as well, to ensure that your business works in the best way possible. So hello there, Liz, it's lovely to have you with us today.
Likewise, it's lovely to be back, and thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I guess it has been a strange time for everybody, hasn't it? And there's the challenges that salons are facing with having to have all of the PPE and the extra hygiene and cleaning between each service, making sure they're one-to-one with each client and not having multiple hands on people. So I guess that means the running of a salon has very much changed since before lockdown.
It has completely changed, and my concern for people getting ready to reopen was that the whole health and safety guidelines, all the PPE, would just become so overwhelming that people in salons would just forget about their customer service and taking care of their clients and putting clients on plans and all that sort of thing. Because I think coming out of lockdown, consumers are just craving interaction, craving connection with people, and like the salon was the number one place on everybody's list globally to get back to.
I don't think it's had as much news exposure, has it, worldwide, the hairdressing industry?
Yeah, and no matter what survey was done globally about where's the first place you want to go to after lockdown, it was the hair salon. Everybody in the world wanted to get their hair done. So it was a really unusual a situation and completely uncharted territory for people. That I think what was overwhelming a lot of the salon owners that I was talking to was because of the guidelines, you couldn't fit as many people into your salon, yet the demand has never been like
greater
this point before, that every single one of your clients want to come back on the same day. So that has taken quite a bit of managing and strategic planning for people to facilitate the clients in a really manageable way. And
Definitely.
I suppose the biggest concern that I've heard people saying is, well, if I can only have half the people in the salon, that means I'm only going to take in half the money.
And I guess, just thinking out loud, Liz, I guess for some salons, they might have started their new process and it might be working amazingly well for them. Whereas other salons might be thinking, do you know what, I'm just not making enough now that I haven't got all of these clients back to back.
And that's not actually the situation. You know, everybody's talking about this new norm. I don't know what this new norm is. Like, it's going to develop over the coming months. But certainly, if we try and pick up where we left off in March, that is when you're going to get into trouble.
Yeah,
because the world is not the same, and you can't have drop-ins and you can't have people popping in and out. So your planning must be much more detailed. But I'm finding the people who are doing the planning around the scheduling of clients, the rosters around staff, and thinking outside the box, they're actually making more money.
Wow.
So the key to it is, and really people need to understand this, to make more money from fewer clients. And that's the key to it.
Definitely. So Liz, can you maybe talk us through how to make sure that your team is able to make more money for you and your salon with fewer clients coming in each day?
Yeah. So if we look at the clients, from the client's perspective, they haven't been there for several months. So there's a lot of repair work and catching up to do. And even if they were trying to do their own hair at home, they've got it wrong and you have to fix all that. So there's loads of opportunity with the client. But also from the client's perspective, like, it's really exciting. You know, your hair, like, I hadn't been to the hairdresser since the 5th of February. So when I got back, I just wanted to be hit with all the, all the choices and all the various options that I had. And that's really exciting. And from a client's perspective, shift my thinking. This is non-negotiable. You shift my thinking to, well, you haven't been here since the 5th of February. It's going to take us a while. What's the new plan? So the number one thing from the client's perspective, but also from your business success perspective, is stop thinking single service. Do not have anybody on your team thinking single service.
So that starts from the booking process.
Right through. And you have an opportunity to do it. And, if I'm a customer, I don't understand working engine behind your business. So if you say to me, Liz, it's going to take us 6 weeks to get through our backlog of clients. Therefore, I'm going to give you your next appointment before you leave today, because I don't, otherwise we might be able to get you in. And I know you like every 6 weeks. And while I have you there, why don't we just book you in for the following 6 weeks and the following 6 weeks? So what's wrong with taking ownership of me and booking me in August, July, August, September, right through, if possible, almost to my December appointment?
Definitely.
So stop thinking single service and would you like to come back and when would you like to come back and blah, blah, blah. Stop all that. That might have worked pre-lockdown. It's not working now. So take ownership of them, right? To get your color right, this is the plan. To get your cut right, this is the plan. And, we're having to work, longer hours or whatever, but I need to keep you on a 6 week, an 8 week, a 7 week plan. And I'm going to make sure you have all those appointments before you leave. Happy days, then I'm sorted.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Especially when everyone has had that first appointment, they've sorted their hair out and they feel like they're done for a little while.
New person.
Yeah.
So we're going through that stage, and there's lots of people like who aren't in a hurry. I know lots of people have said to me, I'm not that, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing anything, I'm still working from home. I'm quite happy to wait for week 3 or week 4. So I've heard an awful lot of people thinking, like, people contacting me, Liz, how am I supposed to fit everybody in the first week? And I'm just like, even if you stayed open the 24 hours, how many people are on your database? 2,000. How could you possibly fit all those in?
You just can't.
So you just explain it to people. But I think there's a longer consultation call required with people, like, have you done your hair at home? Have you had a box set? Tell me the truth. Did you let somebody else do it? And almost that you start a semi-consultation on the phone. And then from that point on, you're talking long-term bookings from there in. So that's the client sorted. Now, I really have to emphasize this point. As the client, we missed you. We missed you so badly. So it's not even what do I want, it's what do I need. So what are on those shelves that I need? What's on that backwash that I need? What treatments have you got? Like if I'm trying to do my hair at home myself, it's up in a ponytail or whatever, it's a disaster. So tell me everything that I need, give it to me and I'll buy the whole lot. So instead of drop this thinking, oh, she hasn't gotten any money, I don't want her to be thinking that I'm pushy, blah, blah, blah. Give her the whole lot, okay?
Yeah.
We haven't spent any money with you for months. So we'll spend it all now, thanks very much. So treatments at little things make a big difference. So treatments at the basin, the home care, whatever it is, styling products, like it's just like you're like this new person emerging now because you haven't had to do your hair, but able to do your hair for months. So the client is definitely not the issue. But interestingly enough, on Saturday I was in a salon and I was there a bit early, and I saw every rebooking that I observed, and I know I should have been minding my own business, but I wasn't. But every rebooking that I saw was customer driven.
Yeah, it was the customer saying,
can I have another appointment? Can I have an appointment? And I thought, that is great, but it's the wrong way round. Why isn't the technician saying, before you leave, we'll give you your next appointment? And it was really backing things up at reception. So obviously the conversation had never happened at all during the service.
No, and that's a very good point, actually, Liz. Obviously now we've got extended service appointments. How much extra time would you allow to make sure that booking can also take place where you can pre-book multiple appointments?
Well, as much as possible, I think clients should be called and spoken to on the phone, and then actually do it. And then, and even start the process then. But when I'm in the chair, is that not the time to say to me, right, this is what we're doing today, this is what we do then? And I would have been saying this to people anyway if we never had lockdown, but I think it's now mission critical. I don't think you can bypass this and just get them right, booked right in, because most people are having to pay back rent for when they were locked down. We're never going to really catch up, but every pound now matters. So I think just get the clients organized. So long-term thinking, strategic planning with the clients, and that means working out the detail that you're referring to there. Where can we make this? Where do we do the planning with the clients? How long is that going to take? Literally, how long does it take to actually schedule in an appointment? And I didn't mind in the slightest on Saturday because I was being nosy and I wanted to observe. But
Yeah.
had I minded, I was kept waiting 15 minutes. I didn't mind in the slightest, and I know we'll make an allowance. And I wouldn't have mind, I didn't mind either way. But the 15 minutes was because the scheduling, the rebooking wasn't mentioned until the clients brought it up at front of house.
Right. And that therefore created a backlog.
And that in turn created a 15-minute backlog, which seems
and obviously,
to be fine.
but obviously we've got to keep social distancing and only X amount of people in the salon. That can then make it stressful for the team if they've got all these people that they need to get in and out.
That's right.
That are just queuing to.
Yeah, and then it ended up there were 2 and 3 people behind the reception desk, and I'm thinking, oh, that shouldn't be happening there, and all that sort of thing. So I think I use this phrase so much lately. The devil is in the detail. So planning. But that's the customer. So the customer is not hard to organize at all at the moment. They have plenty of money. They didn't spend it. You know, I missed all my services so much. And I had this green purse at home. And every week I was putting in, so it should have been the hair this week. It should have been a wash and blow dry. It should have been the nails. I had £1,000 in that purse.
Wow. So in that one appointment, you know, you're going to be happy to kind of have all the extras.
Of course. And then you get used to the extras, so then you want them every time going forward. So every challenge brings its opportunities, and there is a huge opportunity here now, but everybody in the salon has to be on the same page. And I've worked with a few teams on Zoom calls, you know, on one-to-one basis over the last couple of weeks. And that's the biggest thing that I'm having to change with teams. You know, when people are saying to me, oh, should we always fill up on a Monday? People drop in. Well, that's not an option. So so sometimes the owner is thinking like new norm, but sometimes team members are still thinking in what was the old norm, because that's comfortable and it's safe and it's what people know. So, and I know, you know, these are very peculiar times, and I know people are uncertain, and I know people don't like change, but I think everybody on the team has got to make that change. No more single bookings, long-term bookings, plans.
Definitely. So just to summarize then, the formula for making more money with fewer clients is making sure you have the phone consultation. And from what you're saying, Liz, it sounds like the phone consultation can also be used to get those extra quick services added on into their appointments. So maybe a backwash service that might take 10-15 minutes, which they can just have when they're having their hair washed, you know, for an extra treatment. Gives you a bit of extra money. And all those little extras that don't take up much time, but you can charge extra for. I
did. I have a blog article, and I spoke about it in a group training thing that I was doing last week. And the blog, I think I wrote it 2 or 3 years ago. And it's literally, if every client spent an extra £10 in your salon, would that make a difference to your bottom line? So if everybody spent an extra £10, if you had 100 clients in, and everybody, you know, was offered little different add-on services, and everybody spent an extra £10, that would give you an extra 10,000 euros over a year. That would give you an extra £52,000.
Wow.
And since I had the conversation last week, somebody emailed me yesterday and said, Liz, I didn't believe you, I didn't think it would work, but I asked every single client to spend an extra £10, and they did. Every single client said yes. Not one client said no.
Amazing. And obviously everyone's prices should have gone up anyway, shouldn't they?
I think so. And again, I know people are being a little bit reluctant, but any place I've gone to in the last 2 weeks, and I'm in Ireland, so we're open a little bit earlier than you are. So any place I've gone, I've automatically assumed that there was going to be a price increase. And one place there wasn't, and I thought that was a bit strange. We're just expecting it, because it's perfectly obvious as a customer you have a bigger investment in PPE and health and safety guidelines. You have to allow more time for clients in and clients out, and we're just so delighted you're open.
Definitely. I mean, Liz, do you have any tips or advice for team members who are maybe a bit more uncomfortable around the money questions, you know, encouraging clients to buy the extra retail products, to spend the extra on a treatment? You know, that kind of sometimes can be found to be an awkward conversation. Do you have any tips or advice?
I don't actually, I don't think you have the luxury of that anymore. You know, you plain and simply do not have the luxury of thinking like that, because, and I know I'm being very blunt in saying that, but we don't know what's going to happen in 2 and 3 months' time. People keep calling me saying what's going to happen. I haven't a clue. None of us have a clue. But But what I do know is you're very in a very safe industry insofar as it's a fairly recession-proof industry. But we want what you have. Now give it to us. You know,
Yeah.
the brands are not self-selective. I can't go and pick out what I need. You've got to tell me. And that's the old thinking. So it's just a matter of saying, I recommend this or I recommend that. Now, I'm hearing different things back around the communication around the price increase, which some people are saying, they're just saying to people, look, there is a new surcharge. It's an extra £5 to cover our PPE gear. When we don't have to wear it anymore, we won't be charging that anymore. That's fine. Other people are saying, look, we've just had to increase our prices by 10%. I hope that's okay with you. The prices are not the issue to the customer. To the customer, we just want what you have.
Yeah.
So I think if you're unsure about how to communicate something, just ask somebody to tell you the best and simplest way to say it. Practice saying it until you're comfortable with it. So most people seem to be really happy with the surcharge.
Yeah.
Or a flat 10%.
Yeah.
But I think, and I often say to salon owners, like, what are the top 5 things if I'm on your team that you want me to say to every customer? So it could be the surcharge, it could be the question, are you all right for home care? Would you like to show me what you need? And I have an amazing treatment. I can't wait to try to show you at the basin. Even if it was those 3 things, and you had a rule that everybody had to say it.
Yeah.
With no attachment to the outcome. If people want to buy the products, great. If they don't want to buy it, that's great too. But just that they say it.
Fantastic. And actually, Liz, would you recommend now that all team members should be put on targets to make sure that they are not just doing their services, but upselling during each service?
Yes, and I think it's time now for, you know, people to come to the table as employees, as freelancers, or whatever their capacity in the salon, and, you know, be prepared to be as flexible as possible in terms of like keeping the show on the road. And you know, being available extra hours, and you know, being prepared to shift rotas and maybe work late nights and work on Sundays, or whatever it takes, just to keep going.
Definitely.
Yeah. Sorry, now I've lost my train of thought. What was the question? I know
we were talking about targets, and
yes, so targets. Sorry.
Yeah,
I knew I digressed slightly. So before we come on to targets, like, you know, so many salons unfortunately haven't reopened. And I'm saying to the salons that have reopened, like, well done. And I'm saying to the teams, you know, you have a job to go to.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of other salons that unfortunately, for whatever reason, didn't make it across the line to reopen. So you do have a job here. Now we have to keep the show on the road. Every single client must have a positive financial impact on the bottom line of the business. And every person in the salon must also be a financial asset. And I don't think targets should be complicated. My new target, and I know it's almost sounds like bad grammar, but my new target for well, it is bad grammar, for post-lockdown is no white space. Okay, so if we want to make more money from fewer clients, there cannot be any white space. So
and when you say white space, does that mean no gaps in your schedule whatsoever?
No
Obviously
gaps.
Allowing for the extra hygiene for each client.
So I can have a gap for my lunch hour. I can have a gap for my breaks, maybe with the PPE, and I know it's severe. Maybe I need 5 minutes every hour or whatever to go and take the mask off, have a drink or whatever I need to do. And then I need my 10 or my 15 minutes turnaround time. Apart from that, there is no saying, oh, well, I haven't got a client in for the next hour. I'll go and have a sit in the staff room and or go outside and have a cigarette. No, there cannot be any white space. Therefore, that's the long-term rebooking kicks into that.
Definitely.
And it cannot be. So that's my first target. No white space here.
Yeah, and I guess that is, did you see that as a team effort to ensure that everyone's columns are completely full 24/7 is
yeah, because say I'm on the floor, we'll say after lunch hours and breaks, say I'm there 30 hours a week. I can't possibly service clients for 30 hours a week because I'm going to lose the 10 and the 15 minutes turnaround time. Perhaps we're running the floor like it's one person per client, so I might have to wash, I might have to do the blow dry and everything. So I can't do 2 or 3 chairs the way I would have before. So to counteract that, no white space. You just cannot have it. So that is my first target. So
Yeah.
we must get the foundations right. So no white space is target number one.
Fantastic. And Liz, if you had a client who wanted to go to a specific stylist, but that stylist is fully booked, so in order to fulfill the no white space policy, would you encourage them to go to a stylist who did have a space available?
Yes, but then, then there's a handover there. So it's like normally go to Liz, but now I'm asking you to go to Laura. But I'm going to make sure that Liz has a word with Laura about how you like your hair, and she cuts exactly the same way. The two of them, they train one another. They go, and so reassurance there. So I'm going to put you in with Laura, and actually between you and me, anybody that I pass over to Laura, they don't want to go back to Liz because she talks too much or whatever. Yeah. So we have an individual effort, but we have a team effort.
Yeah. And at the moment, it's about working together and not just thinking solo about your own column. It's about thinking about the business as a whole and keeping it going.
It's the bigger picture. So no white space is the starting, is the number one target that I have at the moment. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. A second target that I would have is let's increase the retail units. So, put 3, 4, 5 products in front of everybody, and maybe run a little competition every week. Whoever sells the most retail units, whoever sells the most treatments at the basin, or last week we sold 25 treatments at the basin. Let's get this to 100 this week. So a joint effort, but targets, without a doubt, and you don't have to call them targets and call them whatever, but everybody needs
stars on a board or something. Make it fun.
So it doesn't even have to be financial amounts. It could be I just tick the board every time I sell a product. The other thing that I am hearing is that lots of salons are getting calls saying, getting calls from new clients, and that must be the clients where unfortunately the salons have closed. So there are lots of new clients available. Unfortunately or fortunately, there's lots of labor available as well. There's the recruitment companies are telling me for the first time in a number of years, there's lots of CVs coming in. So it's a whole different marketplace, but a really, really exciting one. But I would just hate people to think, well, we can only use half the space, therefore I'm only going to make half the money. That is going to put you under awful pressure. We can only use half the space. Now, what's the plan to get more money in half the space? And the software companies that I'm talking to in Australia and New Zealand, who are open a lot longer than us, they're saying it's working. There's fewer clients making more money.
Which is brilliant.
It's an easier day. It's a much easier day to have fewer people in, but they're spending more money than being back to back with lower ticket items.
Fantastic.
It's a new world.
Definitely. And obviously we want to try and get as many clients as we can within the restrictions behind the chair. But what is your take on the importance of having team meetings and making sure you keep that conversation going with your team during this time?
Really, really important, because open and transparent communication, because we have clients coming in that could feel a little bit nervous. Then we have depending on people's backgrounds, or people might be living with people who are at risk or whatever, you could possibly have team members that are a little bit nervous as well. So, or I definitely heard the first week, like nearly everybody had a meltdown at some point, some little thing. So I think it's really important, if you're the manager, to just keep an eye on your team. If anybody has any issues, I'm here, come to me. If you need 5 minutes off, so I think open communication is really important. I don't think you have time to shut your doors and have big long 90-minute meetings. I don't think you have time for that. But I do think you could have a little 5-minute morning huddle with everybody, standing up. This is what we have to do today. Here's our targets for today. Here's our goals. Here's our number of clients. Are we all ready to go? So I definitely think start of the day, end of the day. And I'm also hearing things like, I know people are laughing about it, but it's actually a real thing. People aren't used to standing all day. Their arms are tired from the hairdressers, or from the dryers. They're not used to the heat. The PPE is really, I think people are wonderful to work behind the mask. It's really tough. So it's going to take a while to get people back into the swing of things. So definitely team meetings, little one-to-ones, maybe text messages or WhatsApp messages at the end of the day or whatever, but you need your team firing on all cylinders. So you need to be in constant communication and touch with them. And I would rather that the owner would take themselves out of, which is a really hard thing to ask, you know, maybe an hour a day away from clients, just to stand up front of house and make sure everybody's okay.
Fantastic. And we are getting towards the end now. So if anyone has any specific questions you want to ask Liz, please do get them in now. And if not, I'll keep going because there's always plenty of questions to ask Liz. But yeah, just if you did have a specific question you wanted to ask her during the session, please do let us know in the comments on either Zoom or on Facebook. Liz, you touched on PPE there, and I guess that could be an issue that is affecting team members. How can salon owners and indeed members of the team, how can everyone sort of help one another with the issues surrounding wearing the PPE all day?
I think it's tough, and like I think we may as well just name it as being tough. It is tough. Yeah. It's not easy, and it is. I feel sort of like an added block in terms of customer service, and this creating like a really good first impression with your client when they come back in. I think it's health and safety first, isn't it, for customers and for team members. And I think your team need to know that you have their very best interests at heart. You are not going to do anything that's going to compromise them or put them in danger. The health and safety guidelines, I think the clearer you can make them, the better, so that everybody knows. I don't think it's an area, and certainly in the UK, I think there seemed to be much more confusion. It was interesting watching here in Ireland, because our guidelines were really strict, and I think that was easier for people to follow because it was so definite. Yeah. Whereas when it's a bit wishy-washy, I'm going to say, like, make it definite, because then people can follow it. I think, you know, even as a customer going to a salon, when I went to the salon on Saturday, there was a sign on the door that said, please do not put our staff at risk. Put your mask on before you come in. Do not come to reception without your mask. Yeah. Now, while it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because while you're looking at that and you're saying, oh, great, you know, now I know what I have to do, it is sort of a block. Like, it is abnormal to go into a salon and see everybody gowned up and with masks on. But my concern is that will overwhelm everybody. And as the customer, and most customers are, if you think about it, they're going back to the hair salon, the nail salon, the beauty salon, the chiropodist, the dentist, wherever they normally went. We don't want 15 COVID conversations. It's boring.
No. Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
So, like, you can't, you know, and people just assume, well, I haven't seen Mary, so I better ask her about how she's getting on. Yeah. Like, Mary's had to talk about it in 10 other places. Like, it's boring. Yeah. So from a customer's perspective, I'm finding it much more professional if I walk in and the guidelines are very obvious.
Yeah. And then it doesn't have to take over.
On top of it, then we can get back to the interesting conversation. Yeah.
And actually talking about hair, because I guess that they've come because they're excited to get their hair done.
Yeah, and like, it's away from COVID we want to get. Yeah. So I just have a concern for everybody that it's just such a big thing that it becomes so overwhelming. But I was talking to one salon owner yesterday, and she said she got lovely reviews back from her clients where they were saying it was great. I felt really safe.
Fantastic.
And I said, now you have it cracked. You know, if they could see how methodical you were about it, now it's not an issue. It's just something that's there, it's organized, and it's in place. So I think it is the new norm, isn't it, for the foreseeable future, and we've just got to get used to it. Like, I was in Tesco's, my local Tesco's last night at 9:30, and I had the mask in my hand, and I looked in and nobody was wearing a mask, and I said, I'm not wearing one either. So we were all walking around with our masks in our hands, like, how daft is that? And then I got up to the cash desk, and the girl had hers like around her neck, and I was just like, I'm so sorry, I know I should be wearing that. And she said, oh, I'm sick of it too. So we were all doing it wrong.
Definitely. And obviously it's interesting because in the UK from this weekend it's compulsory. It hasn't been compulsory, but from this weekend.
Yeah, it's compulsory for us since Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's really odd. And I know that was because it was 9:30 at night. I'm quite sure during the day I wouldn't have been allowed in.
No, yeah, that's like true. Yeah, it was a bit quieter.
So it is a bit of a battleground. But I think if I had looked in the window and everybody had theirs on, I would have just put mine on and behaved myself.
It's compliance, isn't it? So if somebody had said to you, put it on, and you would have done it. Yeah. Definitely.
You know, so it's here, and it's here to stay. But it's about keeping people safe, because you know, I've been saying to people all along, do not compromise on it, because the last thing you want is a call to say, you know, contact tracing, we're shutting you down for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So,
and like you say, not making it the topic of conversation, even not moaning about the PPE to your clients, but just getting on with it, and then maybe speaking to the salon owner at the end of the day or something, and
yeah,
say, I need a few minutes just to have a break.
yes.
We've got quite a few questions coming in now, Liz, of course. I'm just going to combine some of them. And the white space topic, which we were speaking about earlier, Jill has said she finds it's not always easy to have white space. And Debbie has asked you to clarify a bit more about it, because she's asking, how can you not allocate time booked out in between clients to do all of the sanitizing?
Okay.
So I guess, how would you block out your time to allow for the cleaning without having any white space?
I'm glad we got this, and thanks for the opportunity to clarify it. I'm not for 1 second saying don't allow that time. You must allow that time. You know, by law, you must allow it. But I think you've got to clean, you've got to disinfect. So I'm saying we need that you need that white space. You must have that. Okay. So when I'm finished with the client, I need 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, to clean, to disinfect, to get myself ready. So I'm allowed that white space. I must get my lunch. I have to have my lunch, because
I know a lot of hairdressers don't take their lunch, but I'm sure after lockdown they probably got back into the swing of having a lunch. So,
well, I think it's really important, because a lot of salons that I'm working with at the moment have changed their rosters around, and people are working now 10-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, perhaps a day on, a day off. So if you're working that sort of, you know, that long shift, then you must have regular breaks, and you must have your lunch hour, and you must look after yourself, because how are you going to keep going? So I get my white space in between my clients, and I get my lunch hour, and I get my breaks. But what I'm talking about is, previously it might have been okay to say, well, I have a gap there for 2 hours, the phone will probably ring, or somebody might pop in. But if they don't, it's not the end of the world. I can go in and sit down and have a cigarette.
So unaccounted for gaps where you've got nothing in there at all. If you've got cleaning time, that's fine. If you've got a lunch break, that's fine.
Yes.
But something that's just a blank space with nothing on it,
then my column is not financially sound. Then I am not a financial asset to the workplace. So I hope that clarifies that.
Definitely. I think that clarifies that. Do let us know if you want Liz to clarify that any further. We've also had a question about suppliers. It seems to be a few people on here. Catherine has said that she's heard a lot of hairdressers who have been let down by suppliers. We've had Amanda saying she's had issues with suppliers delivering on products, and they've been short in the New York. So there's obviously people tuning in from different parts of the world as well. And I guess with coronavirus, it will have an impact on, even if you're having something delivered to your home, you get the little warning saying delivery may take longer due to coronavirus. And I guess it's the same from a professional supply level as well.
So, but I suppose just to be mindful that as customers, and I talk like as a customer myself so much. So as a customer, we know it's not normal times for you. So we're much more forgiving than we would have been previously. Okay. Like probably if I was sitting in a salon for 15 minutes waiting in the normal court, I'd be like, what am I doing waiting here? And it's just like, okay, everybody's getting used to this new norm. So I think just to be mindful, customers don't mind. In difficult times, people aspire and gravitate towards that positive, resilient person. So you've got to be that resilient. You've got to develop your own resilience, and you've got to be that positive person. Running your business now is totally different to what it was pre-lockdown. So you have plan A, but then you also need plan B. You must have plan B in place for everything else. If one of my team gets sick, have I got plan B in place? Like normally, like this is hay fever time of the year. I was out with somebody the other night, and she was just like, Liz, I promise it's hay fever. I get it every year all my life. And I was just like, I know you have hay fever. So normally we could have hay fever. Now we can't have hay fever.
I know, any cough or sneeze. I'm the same, because I take hay fever tablets every day. So I do get it.
Yeah. So before you might have been okay with plan A, you know, don't forget your suppliers, they're running businesses as well. They're having their own challenges. So you must have plan A, but you must have plan B. So in terms of my stock, there's plan A. Normally that was okay. What's plan B? So you need plan B, the same around staff, the same around everything. So plan, double plan, treble plan. Yeah. Plan A, plan B, backup plan for absolutely everything. Like nothing is as it was before, nothing. Like, you know, right through that lockdown, and I was so embarrassed going on all these lives like with white hair. I ordered that wow thing that you put in your hair.
Yeah.
It took 7 weeks to come.
By the time it arrived, you were, you know,
It
waiting.
arrived, I had my appointment with the hair salon, and I was just, and I'm looking at it there this morning, I thought, no, I don't even need that thing.
Yeah.
So as consumers, we understand, but have plan A and have plan B in everything for your own peace of mind.
Definitely, especially if it is a product that you need to run your business. If it's an
Yeah,
essential, you've got
yeah,
to have that
yeah.
backup
And
in place.
like all your health and safety equipment, all your PPE gear,
Yeah,
all your guidelines. And I know budgets are tight at the moment, but you know, budget and peace of mind, I would be going for peace of mind every time. Yeah.
fantastic. Anthony Morrison has asked, what's the best way to contact a guest to let them know that you're ready to accept them back in the salon? Would you do it by email, by phone, or something in the post?
Well, I would take it back a stage further, and I would get my communication right. What am I calling to say? Or what am I trying to communicate? So is it that great, we can have you in for one appointment, or can I have 5 minutes of your time? I want to explain to you we're slightly different. We'll be running the salon slightly different than previously. You have PPE gear to tell me about a lot. So there's quite a lot to tell me, but we're dying to hear from you. We can't wait to hear from you. So I think a phone call is good because it's communication and you get to ask me questions. So I think a phone call is quite good. Or if you can't get me by phone, I was trying to contact you by phone, and this is what I was trying to say. I got one email. I've probably in the last 2 weeks maybe been to 7 or 8 different salons because I'm trying to gather up as much, examples and things for people as I possibly can. I got one email from actually where I go for threading, and I laughed so much, but it was be at the door at 11 o'clock, not a minute before, not a minute after. Wear your mask, no entry. I will be at the door with the thermometer and you will have your temp. So my instructions.
I feel a little bit scared about going.
That is so specific.
Oh.
Right. Every single thing has been thought through there. Now I felt really safe.
Right.
I was outside the door, sitting on the step 5 minutes early, stood up at exactly the door open. So, but it was really, really interesting. And at the end of that service, the lady knows what I work at, and she just said, "Do you mind if I ask you, was my email, what you thought about my email?" And I said, I actually said to her, I thought your email was powerful.
And do you think at this time clients do want direction? They just want to be told, this is what you need to do this, done and dusted. Like there's no wishy-washiness about it. Just
there was none with that. And I actually said to her, I know that took you about 2 weeks. You were thinking about that for about 2 weeks to get it right. But it was a real reassurance for me because now the PPE and all that wasn't overwhelming. She had thought it all through. She had done the thinking for me. She gave me my instructions. I felt safe.
And did it work like clockwork because she'd done it that way?
Totally. And did I leave with my next appointments? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So I would think probably multiple communications, maybe a phone call, and I will follow it up with your instructions by email. And then you must stick to what you're saying. So for example, another place I got my email instructions, they weren't as clear. And when I went in, I was asked to fill out a form, and the form was on a clipboard. And the very first thing on the form said, use your own pen. Fair enough, I was to bring my own pen. But the person at reception handed me a biro and said, use that pen.
So it was mixed messages.
You're breaking your own instructions here.
Yeah. And had you been told in advance to bring a pen?
No, but my friend had been there and she said to me, bring your own biro.
So she knew, but you weren't
knew. And then I probably came across a bit smart because the girl said, there's the pen. And I said, well, no, I have my own pen because it says here, bring your pen. No, I hadn't been told in the previous instructions.
No.
Yeah. So detail, like bullet points so that we just know that you mean business. Now, when it comes across to me that you mean business, I'll behave myself.
Definitely. And do you know what, that actually ties in with what I'll wrap up because we've gone way over time.
We always go over.
We always do. I know.
My fault. I know.
No worries at all. But we'll wrap up with Michelle's question. I think it ties in perfectly with what you've been saying there, Liz. Michelle has said, I've noticed on Instagram that many salons clients are not wearing masks. How do you feel about this? Just to note, in the UK, it will be compulsory from this weekend to wear masks in shops, restaurants, and indeed in hair salons. But from what you were saying, it does come down to the rules and sticking to the rules and making them clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think, not that you want to, overwhelm people with the list of instructions, but the safer I feel, the more I'm going to listen to you. The safer I feel, the better chance you have of me coming back.
Yeah.
So I would be saying, make it easy and err on the side of caution. Like I love going into the local, I know probably shouldn't be saying this, the Chinese place, for manicure, because nobody talks to me there, because nobody knows me. Mostly if I go into a salon, people run by because they don't want me there at all, which I don't take personally anymore. But the nail bar, nobody knows me. But even when I went into the nail bar, there was a sign up saying, wear a mask. If you haven't got your own, it's £1. And there was a stack of masks there, and they would not even talk to me. Put on your mask, put on your mask. So the clearer you are in your instructions, the better.
Definitely. And especially with a mask, and people might be resentful if they have to pay £1 when they have a mask at home, they just didn't know to bring it. Getting that message out slightly early.
Yeah, and I know none of us really like the masks, but if it's compulsory, we should be doing it, and that's just it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we are wrapping up now then, Liz, because we have completely run out of time as always, but it was lovely to have a few questions from everybody watching as well.
Thank you to anybody who joined us. I know you're all so busy, so it's really good of you to take the time out of your days. Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be lots more people watching it once their long working days are finished as well.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so thank you all very much, and thank you, Laura.
And if anyone has any questions, Liz, or wasn't able to tune in live, is there a way that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, email is probably the best way to get me. So it's just Google Liz McKeon to bring you onto my website, and just go to the contact page. But I'm just team@lizmckeon.com.
Perfect. So yeah, if you did have a specific question to Liz,
I'd love to hear from everybody. Yeah, I want to hear about all the money people are making.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. Fulfilling the formula that we've been talking about, making sure you've got fewer clients but making more money per client.
That's it. Yeah, great. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Speak soon.
Thanks, Laura. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.